between time to show this new power of mine. When words where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. When words where we landed, we're 2 rows and next to be commended. We're taking down all of those who oppose. Greasy Grove will soon be upon us. Katie Hike, we're sitting on the battle bus. We're closing in and we'll soon claim victory. Our aim never disappoint, so we have coincidence.
Welcome everyone to Unplugged Unfiltered. I am Brian Clements alongside Bob Clements, and today we have 2 incredible guests. They are a power couple, incredible entrepreneurs, and they really have become a true inspiration for me on my business. And when I tell you the amount of information that they have just downloaded into me has been incredible. I take advantage of every opportunity to learn everything I can from them. But I am so excited to have Kass and Mike on here. And yeah, it's going to be a great podcast. So I will have to say, I am prepared. Let's see here. I am prepared I even brought my gloves from the farm. We are prepared to shovel some shit today. So
nice.
Anyways,
Nice.
I'll let you guys kind of introduce yourselves. Who are you guys? What have you done? I know you guys have done some pretty incredible things. So give us a little bit of background on who you guys are.
All right. I will start. Kass Lazerow, serial entrepreneur. Started my journey into entrepreneurship with my first company, golf.com. Was able to get Mike to join us, and we went from there working together for the last 30 years on companies like Buddy Media, 100 plus investments. We have a VC firm, and we do some private equity deals as well. So thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys definitely have your hands full. And I imagine, Kass, you probably just have your hands full with Mike. I think Mike and I kind of have the same mentality, and it's really hard for us to stay focused on one project at any given time. So
Pretty much true.
Yeah. So awesome. And Mike, what about you? I mean, I'm kind of the same thing. I know that, but tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so went to Northwestern University where I started my first company, and soon after graduating, I met Kass at a wedding. And the single best thing I did in my life is I asked her to dance with me, which was not something I did often because I was scared of asking women to dance just because I was shy. And I don't know why, but I did. And the rest is history. We hit it off. We had a shared love of companies and early internet. And 28 years later, and 8 companies and 4 dogs and 3 kids and whatever else we've done later, here we are on Unplugged.
Yeah. Well, I like I said, I am so excited to have you guys on here. Again, after coming or seeing your guys' book launch, I just everything that you guys have put out, I tried to absorb. I mean, you guys have done such an incredible job as entrepreneurs and as business owners and building businesses that just have done incredible, right? And not only that, one of my favorite things is the atmosphere that I've seen you guys create in your companies. It's just incredible. But anyways, I'm fangirling a little bit. I will say that much. So
That's very nice of you.
Comments.
So it's awesome to have you guys on here. But I think that we should really start shoveling. So if you guys don't know, Mike and Kass just released a book. Well, it's still in pre-sale, correct?
That's right.
Yep,
June 3rd, it comes out.
June 3rd. Yeah. So June 3rd, it comes out, but they just released a book called Shoveling Shit. And if you're an entrepreneur, you understand what that title means as an entrepreneur, right? It's you're constantly shoveling shit, whether it's from finances, whether it's employees, whether it's there's so much stuff that you have to shovel. So Mike and Kass, give us a little bit of a background on the book. Tell people kind of what are they going to be able to gain from it. And then also, if you guys have purchased a book in here, make sure that you comment. We're also going to pick one of our viewers. If you haven't already purchased a book, we're going to give away a book. Plus, we're also giving away a pack of the brand new Topps Chrome's V-Friends cards, which are pretty hard to pick
These
up.
are hard to get.
They're kind of hard to get, but we're giving that away. If you did purchase the book, or if you purchase it during this live, you will get 3 packs of V-Friend cards. So definitely go on there. Make sure you get the book. If you do buy the book, post it in the comments that you've got the book. That way we know if you get a book from us or if you get 3 packs of V-Friends cards. So honestly, I'll stop rambling. I'll let you guys kind of tell us a little bit about this incredible book.
Well, thank you. That's, first of all, a great offer. So the book, Shoveling Shit, a love story about the messy path, about the entrepreneur's messy path to success, is really our culmination of 50 plus cheat codes that we have learned the hard way. And we put it together to try to help as many entrepreneurs as we can. They are hopefully going to allow entrepreneurs out there to not step in the shit like we did. And I think they're pretty common sense ones, but there's also some really strategic ones. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we've made every mistake in the book. We've had some success, a lot of failures that led to success, a lot of failures that led to more failures and more failures. So, we've done 100 investments in other companies, tech and water and some sports teams. And we've just worked with a lot of entrepreneurs. And this was basically the sum of all the stories and all the lessons that we keep saying over and over and over again. And really the next 50 years for us is, less about just making money, even though we love making money. We're capitalists. It's kind of what we do. We really are looking for impact. How can we impact, the most number of people, specifically entrepreneurs? So we love working with you, Brian, super talented, your industry, you've had huge success, and, you're very close to launching kind of a software product that's really going to, I think, take the industry by storm. And so no one will be happier than us when you do that. And so it's just, we're addicted to seeing entrepreneurs win. And this is our way of scaling our attempt to help entrepreneurs win, because, it's how the country was built. It's how, everything you see, an entrepreneur said, wouldn't it be cool if this existed, or this needs to exist? And sometimes we forget that, as we kind of deal with the day-to-day and everything that's going on in this crazy world. It's really great entrepreneurs with vision who have created the best country in the world.
Yeah. Well, and it's like you said, everything has definitely been created, through an entrepreneur, but there's been a lot of entrepreneurs that have made the mistakes that you guys give us the cheat codes to, right? I mean, how many of everything that's been created, 20 times, 100 times more than that has been attempted? And it is a, I was talking to my spouse last night. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Do I really, this is, working 18-hour days, but it's worth it, right? It's worth it. And again, having people like you, and I'm so excited to get the book. I will tell you, I am not a book reader. I don't typically read a book. Bob's written,
you are like
4
Mike.
Books. He's written 4 books, and I've read 0 of them. And my mom has also written a book, and I have yet to read it as well. But I am really excited. So for me, sales is his thing, and that's a lot of what your books are about. Sales is great, but I love building businesses, right? I love that side of it. And so I'm really, really looking forward to reading Shoveling Shit. And
sales is what it's about, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's our life. We're not engineers. We're not, we love tech, but we've hung our hat on sales and marketing, and so many great products never are introduced to the world.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't downplay your pops. I'd run out.
No.
Yeah.
I'd run out and read those books.
I know.
Unfortunately, he has children, which are my grandchildren, so I still have to put up with it, Mike, and I will for the kids. And it's all for the kids. So. But let me ask you a question. Like I say, my company's 40 years old, and we've been blessed with what we do. But I didn't grow up in an entrepreneurial family. I grew up on a dairy farm. So when your book was titled "Shoveling Shit," going, been there, done that. As a part of what you do, and nor did
Literally.
my wife's side. So one of the battles that I had becoming an entrepreneur is I didn't grow up around him. But did you guys, Kass? What did your family do? Did they spurn you because you were going to be an entrepreneur and not work for the man?
It's funny, I went to bed last night and I don't know, odd thought came to my head. I am the least educated of my siblings and my parents. So it was interesting to see. I think really being the last child and being 5.5 years younger than my closest sibling in age made me have to do a lot of stuff on my own and rely on myself and also bet on myself. And so I just kind of figured out how to do things, and I had no fear because I realized no one else was really going to, step up and give me anything or help. Because my poor mom, 4 kids, no help, nothing. And my dad was on the road. When he got to be managing partner of a law firm after, 20 years of hard work, he became this great leader that I wanted to follow. And I kind of absorbed all of the lessons that he did, which was he brought humor, he brought empathy, he brought this ability to moneyball people to really look at their strengths and put them in the right position. So I think that's where it kind of combined for me. And then you throw in my ridiculous, competitiveness and my discipline from being a trained athlete for so long. And, that's the kind of entrepreneur I am now.
Yeah. How about you, Mike? Did you grow up in an entrepreneurial family, or were you an outcast? You had the choice of starting a business or going to the circus, and you picked the business. Is that?
No, I had an entrepreneurial family. It was really my, stepfather who I grew up with. So I lived with him. My parents were divorced very young, and I moved in with him, I think, when I was around 6 years old. He ran his own money management firm.
Okay.
And he did it his whole life. So he started when he was 21, and he's around 80 now and hasn't retired. So he's just done it for 60 years. My dad building, houses in Frederick, Maryland, working for himself, and then launching a home inspection business. So they're and most importantly, my grandfather, who was one of my closest friends, lived till 96, built about 12,000 low-income housing units in Baltimore, Maryland. They're very different businesses than what we eventually started. Not that different from what we invest in. We invest in a lot of real estate and now service companies and other stuff. But, my memory was having basketball games that my parents showed up, be able to do a vacation every year, prioritizing family around the holidays. And so it was really the independence of running your own business and not having to sit behind a desk and be beholden to someone else's schedule. I think that's what left the biggest impact. I wanted that life. Versus others who I saw were had more of a struggle showing up, for their kids, just because of life, right? You just have, bosses and others who, when you're the boss, it's a lot of responsibility that comes with it, but also some freedom that my parents enjoyed.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing. And I will say, and again, not to take it, I mean, sales is incredibly important. And I would say
it's everything.
It is everything.
So
because you could build the best product in the world, right? And if you don't sell it, it really doesn't go anywhere. But with his books, I will say that I've probably heard him say everything in his book about 1,000 times. But one of the things that
you said, of being a speaker, you get to repeat your material over and over and over.
And we are his practice audience.
Exactly.
So, but one of the things that you said, Mike, that really spoke to me, and is something that I remember getting on a specific highway. I think I had just turned 16. or maybe I just turned 15 and was driving with my dad. And he said one thing, and it's always kind of stuck. Is what does freedom look like to you? Because freedom to everyone's different, right? There's some people that they're more than content being at a 9-to-5 job, and their freedom is their weekends, right? But I think as entrepreneurs, you have to say, okay, what does my freedom look like? And like you said, being able to show up, being able to go on a vacation, being able to have that on schedule, it is definitely something that I know for me as an entrepreneur that I'm always looking forward to. But I think the thing that most people don't tell you is that doesn't come until like year 15 or 20,
Yeah.
you're spending 18 hours a day, 20 hours a day. Heck, if there was 28 hours in a day, you'd probably try to spend that trying to build
it's not an overnight, success story. It's 30 years in the making. And I'm sure the same with you, Bob. Like this, people might see all of the glorification of what it is to be an entrepreneur, but they're not seeing that every day you get punched in the face at least multiple times, and you're having to go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you're exactly right. I think I was laughing. My wife and I were meeting with our business attorney. We've got some things we're doing with our business. And she said, I said, well, why did you write that the way you did? And she says, well, because, if something happens, I don't think it'll ever happen. But if your business failed, and I said, it's failed a couple of times. I just refused to put it away. 9/11 was our biggest moment. I used to get all my money from speaking. And when 9/11 happened, nobody would put all of their people on the same plane at the same time and take them to a national meeting. So we had to completely reset who we were and become not a speaking business, but a consulting business. Right. And so, but again, I think, as you guys know, there is no straight path, right? I mean, you're on a winding highway, and you never know what's over the next hill.
And sometimes you have to turn around,
exactly.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then or you take the wrong turn, and it's a day of like you start off like Mike and I would remember those days. We'd wake up, you'd be like, look, like it's like when the kids we're almost too quiet, we're like, wait, what's going on? We're like super happy, and then 5 seconds later, you're like, okay, so this is the shit that's coming my way.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And I think, Kass, that's a big thing. There's an old saying: the longer you're on the wrong train, the more expensive it is to get home.
Yes.
And so it's being aware also about, oh man, this is going nowhere, and having enough, getting enough of your ego out of the way. To look
yes,
I think
ego's been a big thing.
We
always say that.
Yeah. So as you look at your kind of cheat codes, what was, Kass, I'm going to start with you. What was your number one aha as you were writing the book? You obviously are writing, right? And then there's kind of this is the sweet one right here. Okay. This is what everybody needs to know. This one thing. What was your one thing? Well, the book is going to be full, I'm sure, of lots of different things. Was there a one that you went, well, if I could teach somebody nothing but this thing, what would it be?
That's a tough one. If I had to teach, I would go with transparency. So one of the ways that Mike and I led was with like complete transparency, and sometimes to a fault. So we would gather employees for, monthly, quarterly meetings, all hands meetings, and we'd give them the financials, how much was left in the bank, what we hit for that month, the numbers, what we fell short on. And so, there were no surprises to our employees. And so I think if I had to teach one lesson, it's that the more authentic you are, the more transparent you are, the more glue you have with your employees, with your teams, so that when you do have to do a U-turn, you have to do a pivot, that they stay with you because they trust you.
Yeah. Well, so my question, just as a entrepreneur with a new company that I'm going to have a substantial amount of employees for, I have that fear. It's like I say, at what point, like, what if you're too transparent and then you lose everybody? Is where do you kind of go? Okay, how do you get over that hump of saying, let's say the company's struggling financially, and it's like, oh, are they all going to walk out? Are they?
Well,
Whereas-
you're not pitching this on a daily basis that's saying, like, oh my gosh, like we're still struggling. Obviously, you're going to reframe it in a way that says, hey guys, so here's what we're doing. Here's what we're falling short on. This is what I need everyone to do. And you're going to sync it up to your actual, biggest rock priorities and your mission, right?
Yeah.
Like our goal is to do this. And I know we can do it. We just have to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Right. And then you're going to say, we're falling short, but I know this team can do it.
Yeah.
So we would always pair it with, if we were delivering bad news, with our mission and our goal, so that we could actually, get some momentum behind people saying, oh, I can make a difference if I just did this a little bit harder, or if I was paying attention a little bit more.
Yeah.
So that's how I would do it.
That's awesome. I mean, and I think that every entrepreneur, that's watching, I mean, we have quite a few people on our TikTok that are watching right now. And I think getting to that point is crucial. And we all, I think, as entrepreneurs have to have those hard conversations, right? Because again, it doesn't matter the size of the company. There's always issues. There's always things that come up. But starting off small, when you're a small company, and building in that transparency and building that up as an entrepreneur, I think is so helpful. So when you do get to that larger size, it's just second nature. So that's awesome.
I think, again, I tell all of the dealers I work with that capitalism works best when everybody gets to participate, not only the owners, but all the employees too. And we're massive believers in bonuses and, performance bonuses and stuff for everybody. Even the guy that cleans the dealership outside.
Exactly.
Everybody gets to play and participate in capitalism if we all do good. So I'm with you. I read a book back in the late 70s, early 80s called The Great Game of Business. And it's a great book. And the whole book is about how this guy turned his business around by teaching his people how to read the financials. So when you first started as an employee, he taught them how to read the financials. And it's called Springfield Remanufacturing. They remanufacture engines for agricultural equipment. And everybody then got their bonuses based upon the profitability of their line. And so it changed the whole company. It's a wonderful book, but but that was his whole philosophy. Now, back in the 80s, nobody shared Kass, Mike, nobody shared financials with anybody. As a matter of fact, as I'm working with business owners that are 70 and 80 years old, they go like, well, why would I want them to know that? I go, well, because you want to teach them how to be an entrepreneur. You want to get them to start understanding how you think, but it's a game changer when you start doing it. Mike, how about yourself? What was that one aha moment as you guys were doing the book that you went, boy, if I could share just one thing out of this book that to me was that aha, what was yours?
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is there's so much, and we tried to model this based on where your company is. And so we start off the book talking very much about, a little bit about our background, but about the imbalanced life of the entrepreneur. So you have all the rights and responsibilities, and freedom, but comes with, a toll. And I think if I look at kind of the key cheat codes, starting with how to pick a founder and how to, pick a business that is going to scale and how to raise money. And I think that the most impactful lesson is about focus. You can't do everything at once. You could do anything you want. You just can't do it all right now, right? And the best companies hyper-focus, and they decide on doing. So if their mission is to be the number one dealer software, whatever it is, what do you have to do to get there, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't go from 0 to $1 billion in revenue overnight. You got to go get to 100,000 in revenue beforehand, right?
Yeah.
And so it's about kind of picking those priorities, ordering them stack ranked order with very clear metrics for each one. And less is more. Unfortunately, I'd like to do more. I wish more was more, but a small company can really only do 2 or 3 things in any given year. A big company, maybe 10. I mean, like Salesforce, we had 10 things that we did every year. it's 70,000 employees.
Yeah.
And so ask yourself, what do you want to be as a business? So if you want to be number one dealer software, what's it going to take today to get there? And prioritize that. And then do that every day, every week, every month, right? Every year. And before you know it, 5 years later, you've made a lot of progress, even though every day seems pretty insignificant.
Yeah.
How about detractors? So, like I say, I've been doing this a long time, and I'm sure you guys still have, with the incredible success you've had, there's still people that question and doubt your sanity at times. I'm guessing they're at higher levels maybe than they were when you first started. But when you first start a business, there's a lot of people that are naysayers. They become distractions. You get sucked into their self-doubt at times. So how do you deal with that, Kass? I'm sure you had them when you first started. Nobody ever heard of golf.com before, right?
Right.
So how did you deal with that?
It sucks because, you want the people around you, and, sometimes the naysayers are your closest family, right? They could be your siblings, they could be your parents, whoever it is. They're shedding doubt and projecting that out onto you, and your job is to ignore it. Obviously, if you've made the decision, and you have to, first of all, and Mike can kind of run you through this, whether you should greenlight your idea. Right? That's the first thing. So let's assume you've gone past that and the unit economics makes sense. Then it's your job to just not listen to them. And I think we had a leg up because Mike doesn't really care about what other people think or say. And for me, I've spent my entire life, playing sports, like playing tennis, competitively at such a high level that you have to concentrate on what thoughts are coming in and what you allow into your brain. And to me, I would always reframe it and make it like something competitive. They're saying we can't do this. Let's figure out how we can and show them up.
Yeah, I think there is a psychological term for Mike. I think it's called sociopath. I have no emotion. Don't worry about it. So how about you, Mike? I mean, again, from a distractor standpoint, because I know as I'm working with especially younger business owners, and they're going like, well, I'm getting all this, I'm getting all this, I'm getting all this. And kind of the same thing, Kass. You got to learn to block it out. You did it as a professional, as an athlete.
It's not
you
that,
learned how to do it. Mike, how about yourself?
It's not that I don't care what others think.
Kass doesn't think you do. I'm just going to be honest.
Meaning,
I don't
you know what I'm saying, Mike.
Yeah,
I know what you're saying.
So I think many great entrepreneurs, and I don't know if we're great yet, but we've had some success, do not look at external validation as their driving force, which is hard today in this world of social media and Instagram and TikTok, which ironically we're on right now. So, they look inside, what do I want to do? What kind of life do I want? Like, they're burning with this need to create something, and it's not just a flicker of a flame. It's an enduring light, right? It's always there. You have to do it. Like, you talk to entrepreneurs and they're like, yeah, it's like really stressful and lonely. And I have imposter syndrome, all this stuff. And there's nothing else I'd rather do. Right. There are other things which produce the same level of like fear, uncertainty, doubt, and angst that you never want to do. Right. Like, jump out of an airplane isn't something I've ever wanted to do. Like, I don't love sharks. Like, I'm scared of sharks. Like, I
feel like we're in therapy session.
Yeah. But like, entrepreneurs realize that it's both tough with a lot of suffering, not a lot of positive feedback. Your family thinks you're crazy. You're trying to maintain whatever relationships you have in your life, and there's nothing you'd rather do. So it's this like dichotomy, which is why we call it shoveling shit a love story, right? It's not that we think, it's just a life of misery that you're just shoveling. It's that's where you find your purpose. And if you're looking for your purpose from family, friends, the public, others, that's just going to be a very difficult path. And I had the benefit of basically dying twice, almost dying. I have an artificial heart valve. I had some health issues. And so that just gave me a new perspective. And I remember my mom saying like, oh, after your second open heart surgery where they put in the valve and rebuilt part of it, I had a lightness and like I don't give a fuck anymore type attitude.
Yeah.
And I hear that again and again
Yeah.
from others who like saw because it's basically like, what's the worst thing that can happen with this business? Like, I'm alive. Like, I've already escaped death twice. Whatever. If it goes out of business, I have my life. I got my family. I've got, hopefully my health, which, I can't really take for granted. And so it's not that like the best entrepreneurs care a lot, but what they are tuning into, what their customers are saying, right? Like they're tuning into like the right people who should be providing feedback.
Yeah.
What do your employees think? You should care about that a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you also think, so always people say this, well, if you didn't do this, what else would you do? And I said, I can do anything because I know how to make a business work. So that doesn't really matter anymore at that point. You kind of have that confidence that you get from understanding it. It's kind of like you understand the force. You say, okay, now I know how to manipulate the force and make it work. And that's the other thing I tell young entrepreneurs. I said, you'll get to a point where you get it and you'll say, I got it. Because there's kind of this epiphany that happens. And again, it's not a gradual thing. To me, it was just kind of like this, I got it. And once you got it, you got it. Right. And you can do anything. You can do
what the it is really confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And confidence in the ability to figure it out and not be thrown off your game because something doesn't go your way, right? Like we've had companies that the bank accounts were frozen because it was owned by a Russian oligarch who was put onto a do not touch list, right? We've had, bankruptcies where we had to buy a company back. We've had all these things. And I think what happens and what we're trying to do with the book, and I think we're seeing it with Brian right now. Like Brian came in to us. I'm like, man, you're a baller entrepreneur, but there are a few things that you weren't that confident in, right? I'm not going to go into it right here, but like you very recently had some unlocks. Yeah. Which only comes from your confidence. There's nothing I did. There's nothing Kass did. You knew the answer. It was in there somewhere, but you needed to kind of get it out in a way and trust your gut, trust yourself. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do with the book is like just putting up a mirror to saying, we understand you. Here's what helped us get through all of these situations. And you have everything you need. You just need maybe a few cheat codes to like push through.
Yeah. Well, and again, I mean, on that, it's like you said, you didn't necessarily give me the answer to the problem I was having, but you told me where not to look for it. You saved me the time because, I was going down a path that I was very confident. I was like, okay, this is the right path. This is what Google said to do. Right. And I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And then we have a conversation. You're like, yeah, don't do that. You're going to have to shovel a lot more shit if you go that direction. And so I was able to change and pivot my focus on what I was doing. And one of the things, and Kass, you say this all the time, is know what you don't know, right? And then find someone to fill in that gap. And so I was lucky enough to find someone who's really filled in that gap and given me the opportunity from your guidance. And your guidance was just like, don't go down that path. We've done that before. It's really not a good place. And so I was able to pivot what I was doing and then go down a different path. And I've found so much more success in that that I wouldn't have found had I, just continued on the path that I thought was the best path. So, Bob said a quote, I think it was on our first podcast. The very first one we did is, find someone who knows, find someone who knows more than you. Ask the right questions, then shut up and just do the hell what they tell you to do.
And do what they told you to do.
And I've really, taken that to heart is because, I feel like I know business fairly well, but there's always someone who knows something more. There's always someone who's already tried that. And maybe what they tried didn't work for them and maybe it might work for me, but but it's like you, Mike, you were able to say, listen, this works for some people, but here are the issues, or here are the things that, why it might not work for you. And that saved me months of pursuing something that wasn't going to work. So it's, I appreciate you guys so much putting out a book like this. And I think every entrepreneur should have this book. And all of the books that I've got, I'm sending them all to entrepreneurs, because again, it's just incredible what you guys have created, and that's the reality of it. And one of the big perks, I mean, I do have an entrepreneurial family, and so I have a lot of support. As we were kind of talking about naysayers, having Bob in my corner, he's always been one of those. Getting me out of trouble when I'm in grade school, because I'm renting PE clothes. I went to a private school, and if you didn't have your PE clothes, you would get in trouble. So what did we do? We rented out PE clothes.
Now, the first thing you did is you went to Lost and Found for people that lost their PE clothes.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't claim them. You claimed them,
Yeah.
and then you turned around and rented them.
Yep. Yeah.
For people who needed it. So
That's an entrepreneur right
there's
there.
an entrepreneur there. I have no cost in my inventory.
Yeah.
I'm going to sell it.
Yeah.
I'm actually not going to sell it. I'm going to rent it and continue to use it.
We got it back, and at the end of each week, we would take them, wash them, and then we'd have fresh inventory, basically.
And
You got the merits if you didn't have your clothes.
Yeah, but we got in a lot of trouble from the principal.
no tariff.
On that. Yeah, no tariff.
It was not an entrepreneur. Your principal was not.
Yeah. So, but having that support has been huge, and it's again, I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for you guys, and I really think that getting back to the shoveling of shit is you guys have brought the reality of what entrepreneurship is about, right? Because and we've said this already on the podcast, is a lot of people see that, oh, okay, I'm the Jeff Bezos, right? I'm an entrepreneur. Now I have a private yacht. Now I have this. And they don't see every single step that it takes to get to that. And there are some people who I truly believe are not cut out to be entrepreneurs, right?
Absolutely.
And so by you guys writing a book like this, I think so many people are gonna benefit from it.
Yeah, and this is one of those, again, I would challenge, because I'm an avid reader. I have always been an avid reader, and finding a book, The E-Myth was probably one of my best books that I ever read, with Michael Gerber. And I try to get all of my deals. Matter of fact, I send a copy to all of my young guys. Say, look, you're going to meet this person at some point during your journey. Read this book and listen to it. I know it was done in the 80s, but it's still relevant today. But even with you guys' book, this would be one of those I'm going to challenge everybody on, is to, number one, go to your public library and ask for it, okay? Because if you ask the librarian to have this book, they will go put 2 of them in stock. So it's there for other young people that maybe they can't afford the book, but that's all right. So I would say, again, the best way to get the message out, and the best way to get this, is we're talking to 2 people here that are very successful. They've got these cheat codes that what you want in business, but reach out to your public library. And I'm with Brian. I go back again. I'm going to start using your book and giving it out to all of the entrepreneurs. Again, I always send them the E-Myth again to do it, but it's one of those things that it's that kind of thing that you need. So I'm going to challenge everybody on here. If you're an entrepreneur and you're listening to this, number one, if you don't have the book, go buy it. But if you do have the book, buy another one and find some young entrepreneur, some kid that's at a lemonade stand. I don't care where it's at. That's where it starts at. Give them the book, right? This is how you're going to do it. You can have an impact on what Mike and Kass has done by getting that book in their hands. And again, it's kind of like with Anthony. I mean, my challenge is there's no reason that we can't get 10 to 15,000 of these books. Because it just takes everybody doing it. I mean, it's a matter of just spreading it out. But the first thing I would do, if you're listening to this, you say, gosh, I want to buy the book. Buy the book, number one. Buy a couple of them, give a couple away. But go to your public library and say, hey, I would love for you to put this book in your thing. I don't know how many public libraries there are in the United States, but there's lots of them. And again, what you've got then is the ability to kind of get this thing out in mass, and people start reading it and passing it around, because it can be the game changer.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I would challenge everyone. So, I mean, we've had 3,200 people come through on our TikTok. We've been very, very active here on our StreamYard stream too. But so we had a conversation last week with Anthony Asucci, and we were talking about his book, and we're going to challenge everybody here too, and I don't know what number we want to set for I mean, how many books do we want to try to have? I mean, we've got 3,200 people who've come through on TikTok. If everyone bought 2 books, right? If you're an entrepreneur and you buy the book, we encourage you to buy a second book, right? Get that book and give it to someone else who is an entrepreneur. So again, I think that we set 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 10,000. What do you guys think? How many books should we challenge our viewers to push out?
What'd you say? 10?
10,000 is
That's a great number. I would love that.
That's gonna be our challenge. And so
we got 3,000 on your stream here. That's 6,000 books that we could do instantly.
Yeah.
If everybody was motivated.
Yes.
And not being a loser.
Yes. Yeah. If you're not a loser,
you are, because if you were a loser, you would not even be listening.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
You would be wondering where your next government check's coming.
Yeah.
So that's not you people. That's not what we do.
But again, so we're going to set it 10,000 books. We want to sell 10,000 books in, I don't know what, a month. Let's set a month time frame. Let's do that.
Amazing.
So we're going to do that. And we're going to start a challenge on all of the social medias. We're going to start the hashtag future entrepreneur.
There you go.
If you buy the book and give it to someone who is a future entrepreneur or is an entrepreneur, but are starting out as an entrepreneur, make a post about it. Post about what they're doing, where they're at, because not only are we going to, to say, okay, let's encourage all of these entrepreneurs, but we can start building networks for these entrepreneurs. We can start saying, okay, I've got Joe Smith. He's 13 years old. He's got a lawn care company and he's in Dayton, Ohio. Okay, perfect. Now we are building this network that we can say, hey, if you need your lawn mowed and you're in Dayton, Ohio, here, call this kid. He is a budding entrepreneur who is really pushing it. So I think we're going to do hashtag future entrepreneur. Let's get 10,000 books into the hands of our hashtag future entrepreneurs. And then let's build a network for all of those entrepreneurs to really start building their brand. Because, I mean, how does a 13-year-old or how does anyone start unless they're going to work? We have such a huge following. Let's help every single one of them.
I think that's a great idea.
I love that. And don't forget too, Brian, that once someone buys a book, they're automatically into the Founders Farm, right?
Yes.
Which is how we got close, right?
Absolutely.
We talk. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, explain to them what the Founders Farm is, because you sent out the email, and as soon as you sent it out, I made sure it was on all of my calendars. It is blocked off, but it is such an incredible. But explain to everyone what the Founders Farm is and what you get when you do purchase a book.
Sure, Mike, you do it.
Yeah, so books are great, right? But I think what Brian and Bob are talking about is the idea of entrepreneurs helping entrepreneurs and learning from each other. There's only so much we can do, right? But collectively, we can go much further. And so the Founders Farm is a community of entrepreneurs. The entry ticket is a $30 book, right? $26 book, depending on where you buy it. And we have regular meetings. Right now they're virtual, but who knows? I could see getting together in person. We also have office hours if you buy 50 or more books, which we were just on a call with Brian and a bunch of the other kind of big dogs who spent that money. But what was interesting about that call is by the end, we're all helping each other, right? Like I'm helping Brian with his business. There's a guy who runs a sign company, right? Jeff. And Jeff was actually on this. I don't know if Jeff's still here.
I think he's still here. Yeah.
Yeah, but runs an incredible company. It's been around for many years, makes signs for businesses. It's been a tough run, right? As like kind of we're going to hybrid work, but the business is still doing great. And Brian's like, hey, I know dealerships. Let me help you sell.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to share confidential information. And then one of the guys had a wine company. So it's like, okay, I know where I'm getting my wine next time I have an event. I don't really drink, but we serve it at events. And so it's about how do you give, then give some more. And in return, hopefully you will get some stuff. And that's really the story of our life. We spend time giving, and what we've gotten in return is just so huge. That's why we're here today. we've been supported by people who, it's resonated with. And I think we've made new friends. I don't know. Brian may not want to talk to us after our book comes out. Maybe it's just a promo thing. But like, this is an experience which has let us connect with new people that I don't do it because I want to get something from, Brian and now Bob, who hopefully will consider me a friend, but we'll see. Thank you.
Now that I know about your life, that you don't like to jump out of planes and you hate sharks.
I hate sharks. I'm scared of sharks. But the point is that, like, by connecting with people, you just never know who you're going to help and who can help you. And that's what makes life rich. It's how we bounce off of each other and just kind of we're on this journey together.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about, is building that network and supporting. I mean, and I will say, for what you get from the Founders Farm, the book should be like $1,000. I mean, it's
we also get budgets, like
yeah.
everything we threw in, everything we use to launch businesses, we threw into the entrepreneur toolkit. So like how to think about budgets, how to think about priorities, how to go gauge, just how to like figure out if you should launch. And what's interesting is if you go way back, we would not have met Brian or Jeff or Bob or any of these epic entrepreneurs if we hadn't done one thing, which is say yes to Gary Vaynerchuk way back when he was just a budding entrepreneur looking for office space.
Right.
So we gave him an office space. We became very good friends with him. We did a 3-hour live stream, National Shovel Day. That's where we met. I think that's where we met, Brian.
Yeah.
Definitely. First time I met you.
But
you may have
think about that. Think about that. We gave something with nothing expected in return to Gary. Yeah. And then Gary paid it forward back to us. And now we're here with you.
I met Jeff as well.
And then you guys are paying it forward to us. It's how life should be.
Responsible for releasing Gary V on the world. Is that what you're telling me?
I think his mother, who we know very well, is responsible for that. His dad was responsible for like making him understand how miserable the life of an entrepreneur was as a first generation American selling wine at the wine library. But I don't think anyone's responsible for the creature that's Gary V other than the creature that's Gary V.
Yeah. Well, and it's just, again, it's incredible, the network that you guys are creating. And I've told you guys to thank you 1,000 times, and I'll tell you guys to thank you 1,000 times again. But the network that you guys are creating, and anyone who gets this book, you get to be part of that network. And again, it is truly, if you're open to learning and if you get your ego out of the way, it is a priceless experience, and you get it for $30. It is the most mindless kind of purchase that you shouldn't ever think about. You just do it, and you can gain. Again, it saved me 2 or 3 months of chasing additional funding in a way that for my business that I would have. I mean, that would have just cost me. It would have cost me a lot of money chasing that funding, right?
And focus, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've been able to focus on so many other things because Mike was like, "Yeah, don't do that," and I said, "Okay." Mike knows way more than I do. He's been down this path before, so I'm gonna just shut up and do what the hell he told me to do.
Exactly right. Don't make this complicated.
But it's not like you nailed something like that's critical. All we did was like save a little time. You would have gotten there eventually.
Yeah.
So like people look at what we've done and they're like, oh, like how'd you do all this stuff? Well, I started when I was 18 years old. I'm 51.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it took me a long time with Kass because we didn't know anything. And we tried to soak in information with a beginner's mind. But like no one was starting companies at college when I started it. No one was No one had run an internet company in 1994 when I started the first one. You know, a lot of this stuff you just have to figure out on your own. But if you can have a beginner's mind and seek out information, not just from us, but read Bob's books on sales and Gary's book on social media, like everyone's like, how are you doing all this social media stuff? I'm like, idiot. Gary Vaynerchuk wrote a book that gives you a playbook for exactly how to do it. Like, absolutely. So seek out the experts, or at least people who have experience, who communicate in a way that you like it. And there's so many cheat codes for everything. Like, it's not just
like the biggest thing though, and Brian said it before, is you got to get out of your own way and you got to know what you don't know, right? And Bob, you mentioned that ego. So you're right. You got to want to learn. You got to want to say like, look, I am an expert on this, and this is my idea, and I'm going to execute on it, and then I'm going to take in as much advice I can in the other areas.
Yeah, I have ever since your guys' book launch. I have committed to becoming a expert shit shoveler, and not trying, because I will say I've had businesses that have come somewhat easy to me, right? I've filled a void that you know, I didn't have any competition on, you know, and that's the best business, right? When you're the only one who does it and there's a need for it. But with this one, I've really gone, okay, I cannot jump around certain things to go, okay, this is the easier. It's like, I'm going to dig in, I'm going to dig through this mountain of shit.
Right.
That way, when I come out on the other side, worst case scenario, I've got some really strong arms because I've been shoveling all day.
And you're doing the hard work, right? You're not skipping the hard work.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not just chasing that entrepreneurial social media, you know, image. It's because not only do I want to become a better entrepreneur, which is constantly being a student, I also want my company to be built on the best foundation that I can possibly provide, because I'm not building this company just for me. I'm building it for all of our dealers that are going to be using it. I'm building it for every single employee. I want to make sure that we are around to help them maybe buy their first house, help them be able to purchase their first car, help them not have to worry about where grocery money is coming from. And so digging in, shoveling the shit now gives me the ability to support so many people down the road. And I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I'm grateful to have people surrounding me that are pushing me to do it. So it's incredible.
Let's go lay the challenge down one more time.
Yeah.
I know Mike and then Kass have some other things to do, but
yeah.
So let's go back out to the challenge.
Yep.
10,000 books is the challenge.
10,000 books.
How are we going to get there?
1 month. Again, we're going to use our hashtag Future Entrepreneur, and I see it's actually popping up quite a bit on TikTok, which is awesome. So you guys are already pushing the Future Entrepreneur hashtag. But we've got 1 month, 10,000 books. Let's create a network. You guys, when you get the book, will be able to join Kass and Mike's network as well. But let's just support all of these young entrepreneurs, the kids who are renting clothes, gym clothes to their fellow students.
So it's buy a book.
Yep.
Give a book.
Buy a book, give a book. Yep.
Go to the public library and ask them to put the book in the library.
Yep.
Okay. That's our target. Buy a book, give a book, go to your public library and ask them to stop it.
So, and Mike and Kass, where can you guys purchase? Where do you purchase the book?
So right now you can purchase it on Amazon. Obviously, just look up the title Shoveling Shit, or you can go to www.shovelingshit.com.
Perfect. So Amazon.
I'm surprised that website wasn't already taken.
You're telling me, Bob, I was like, oh my God, this is available. This is incredible.
That's a great website.
But yeah, so Amazon or www.shovelingshit.com. Once you do get the book, make sure that you use that Future Entrepreneur hashtag, tag us in all the social medias, and we would love to come alongside and support you guys. And then make sure that when you do it, you take advantage of all of the amazing tools and opportunities that Kass and Mike put out there for all the entrepreneurs. But you guys, it has been such an honor to have you on. I won't keep you any longer. We will get off of our soapboxes, and we're gonna, in the words of our podcast, we're gonna go ahead and unplug and get back to shoveling. So thank you guys so much. We will definitely start doing some social media tallying. So as we see books starting to be purchased,
Thank you.
as we build that hashtag future entrepreneur, we're going to keep everyone who's watching, everyone on TikTok, everyone on Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. We'll keep you guys all updated, and let's push, and see if we can build 10 new future entrepreneurs, or 10,000 new future entrepreneurs.
This is a good task force. We can do this.
Thank you guys again so much. And with everyone, with that, we will catch everyone next week. And thank you guys so much for being on.
Our pleasure.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Great meeting you both.
Nice to meet you.
You too.